These are 10 criteria used to assess the candidates in a live election. Each candidate is scored out of 10 against each of the criteria. The scores relate to the candidate as a person and not their policies or beliefs or party affiliations. The results are not a voting recommendation. They are intended as one factor only, to be considered alongside your own views on the candidate and their stated policies, behaviour and affiliations. This is the constituency called Gorton and Denton. In reality, it's made up of two very different areas covering 7 council wards. They're not just geographically separate, the main arterial roads and daily travel patterns diverge, shaping very different identities. About 39,000 residents live in Denton and Gorton, while 37,500 live in Burnage, Levenshulme and Longsight, places that do not reflect the constituency name. Despite similar electoral influence, this disconnect from geography appears to affect campaign focus, with far more attention being paid to Denton and Gorton than to the other 3 wards. Burnage has over 12,800 voters. I'm very fond of Burnage. 50 years ago, I bought my first computer kit from Electra Value, just behind this spot. Just round the corner stood the factory, opened in 1906 by the immigrant Hans Reynold, making chains and employing thousands. Since then, manufacturing has moved on, and these are the scores that I'd given to Sebastian. He mentioned that he'd worked in a Burnage food bank, and he brings experience as a language teacher and then later director of studies and a manager of a camp. I've linked him with Burnage because he's shown a clear interest in manufacturing, which he's raised more than once in the campaign. His overall score is slightly lower due to his younger age, which highlights that this grading system tends to favour experience. He's a strong communicator and this is his 3rd election. I hope he continues. We're now on the Burnage-Levenshulme border at Pringle Fields. This was once an airfield linked to aircraft built by Fairey Engineering and Crosley Motors. The airfield closed during the Second World War to prevent enemy landing. The large factories here once employed thousands of local workers, shaping the area's industrial identity. These are the scores that I've given to Hugo. He has experience in aircraft manufacturing, has been active in trade unions, organisations which are historically linked to the larger manufacturing workforces. Because public available material is limited, I've used a score of 5 where details are unclear. I've done this with all the other candidates. This is Levenshulme. At Levenshulme Station South, which is a refurbished Victorian station sitting above a busy cycle route that cuts through the area. Nearby are the old council offices used until 1909, when Levenshulme became the last district to join Manchester City Council. This building and the one next door were bought by an Iranian refugee in the 1970s. He still owns it, and the building now provides low-rent workshops supporting small makers and local enterprises. Next, I have a score for Hannah. She mentioned Levenshulme several times during the campaign and brings experience as a sole trader, working as a housing association worker and as a technician installing modern heat pump systems. I noticed that her communication is improved over the campaign. Though she no longer lives directly in the constituency, she's based nearby. This is Longsight, a diverse and densely populated community. The busy A6 carries around 23,000 vehicles a day. Alongside is Longsight Market, and there is a wide range of food and independent shops in the area. Next is Nick Buckley. He's got a long association with the area, scoring well on local connection and community involvement, particularly as a charity founder. In other areas where information is limited, I've scored him more cautiously. Next we're in Gorton. Jackie Percy has a long association with the area, serving as a local councillor for 21 years. Much of that time is unpaid work. A long service supports a strong score for the community involvement, and she still lives locally, so she receives top marks for the local connection. Gerald Kaufman was a highly regarded constituency MP for 47 years, and he lived in Gorton. The next candidate I'll consider is Angeliki. Like many, she was drawn to the area for her education, and she made it her home starting in 1995. She has since served as a local councillor for 14 years. Alongside this, she's worked in demanding engineering and infrastructure roles, engaging with a wide variety of stakeholders. So she scores well on local connection and has stated that she would give up her other roles to focus fully on being an MP. My scoring here is influenced by the importance I place on infrastructure and her experience delivering projects for both public and private sector. There's clearly some interest in small boats in Gorton. Here the gang, who also run Levenshulme Leisure Centre, seem concerned with the safety of the small boat users in the Debdale Reservoir. This is a reminder that Gorton also has attractive green spaces. This is Denton West, alongside the Denton and Hyde bypass. The bypass has reduced traffic through Denton High Street. Matt appears to focus much of his campaigning here, so this is where we'll look at him next. He scores lower on the local connection. I believe he lives in Hitchin, but I've been assured that if he's elected, he would move into the constituency and that he's already made inquiries about local schools for his children. He is a strong communicator with experience as an academic through published research and a book and as a television presenter. He scores lower for breadth of community involvement, though he does bring business experience from work in a polling company and other areas. Like many areas, Denton has its fair share of barbers and vape shops. These have become a political issue on more than one side, but they're clearly used by local residents. And for many, vaping is seen as less harmful than the cigarettes that we all grew up with. I don't know much about Denton North East, but I have travelled to the area because they have what I believe to be a very good fish and chip shop. Next is Dan Clark. He studied politics, and this is the 12th election that he stood in. He's clear about the issues he's focused on. I understand he works in retail, but limited available information makes some areas harder to assess, so I've scored cautiously. This is Denton South. The River Tane runs through what now looks like quiet countryside. It's heavily wooded. But beneath the undergrowth are signs of early industrialisation, first water-powered mills, then coal and steam. Hidden here is the site of a steam engine once used to pump water from a coal mine below. This is Charlotte Cadden. Charlotte comes from quite a different angle. She scores well due to her professional life in the police, but she clearly involves herself in other groups outside of her work. Though no previous experience exists as a counsellor and the like, she clearly has been involved in many cases which intersect with the public. Further down the River Tame are the remains of an early glassworks. It was built and run by two French families known as Huguenots. People persecuted them for their beliefs. The word refugee was first used to describe them. They brought vital skills of glassmaking, clockmaking and silkwork and shaped much of early industry. It's estimated that 1 in 6 people in the UK have ancestry linked to these and other French migrants, including my own family. Now the final scores. These scores reflect capability but not attitudes or beliefs or party positions. Deciding which policies matter most is for you, the voter. I found this exercise quite useful, although it's been difficult to access consistent information about the candidates. Discussions are often dominated by policy or party politics. When I combine these scores with my own policy priorities, there are 4 candidates I would be comfortable seeing in the role, but I've largely excluded 2. Sir Oink a Lot, a monster raving loony. I see him as someone you'd vote as none of the above. Another one was much more difficult, was Joseph O'Meara, whose campaign focuses on a single issue. His message is really important, and it's one I feel that should be considered by the other candidates rather than assessed across all criteria.